Welcome back in our series about Storyist, the creative writing application for both macOS and iOS. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the shortcuts that I find useful when I'm using Storyist. This is about the writing process rather than about creating, PDFs or how to use the whole software. This is something that is useful when you're writing your document. So this works both on the Mac version as well as on the iOS version, by the way. So if you're in your document, I've got my document with the 4 dummy chapters here. You have the cursor key that you can position, of course, anywhere you like. And if you wanted to navigate without a mouse, which is kind of what happens when you're writing on iOS, then you can use your cursor keys on a physical keyboard to step forward and back a single character at a time. But sometimes if you want to go slightly further in your document, that's a little bit cumbersome. So a cursor left and right will move a single character. Cursor up and down will move one line at a time, up and down. No matter where the cursor is, it'll always stay in line there. If you hit the Alt key together with the cursor key, left and right, then you'll see that you move a single word. So that can be kind of cool and helpful if you want to just move a single word back and forth. And if you do that with the up and down, so Alt and up and down, you'll move a whole paragraph. So Alt up will move your cursor to the beginning of a paragraph, this paragraph in this case here, and Alt cursor down will get you to the end of that paragraph. And then if you hit Alt down again, it'll get you to the next paragraph, or in this case it's a subheading or a chapter title. So this is how you can navigate down in your document relatively quickly without skipping too much of it. You can also move back and forth a whole line. So if I'm now at the beginning of this line and I'd like to quickly go to the very end of the whole line, then I can use the Command key. So Command cursor to the right will move the cursor to the right or to the very end of the current line, whereas Command and cursor to the left will move your cursor to the very beginning of the line. There's 2 shortcuts in conjunction with Command that are a little bit dangerous, which is Command up, which will move you to the very beginning of the document. It's also something to be used with extreme care, because if you have a long document and you're in the middle of something and you accidentally press that, then you just pulled out of your thoughts. I don't particularly like that shortcut. So Command up will do that for you. In this case, it'll go to the very top of the document, and Command down will also get you to the very end of the document. So Command down is kind of cool, and when you start writing, so in my case, if I'm going to start at chapter 5 now, I can do that and just navigate to that top here and change section text into chapter title, and then I'm here. So those are 2 things that I find very interesting. I don't know why this is now also a chapter title. Not at all what I wanted. Let's make this a section text, and then let me write. There we go. Let me write right here, right now. There. Now, while you write, maybe I'll just write something so I can demonstrate the effect of it. While I write something on my page, notice that the page itself starts to scroll and leaves. There we go. Oh man, there. Leaves the cursor always in the middle of the page. When I say cursor, I actually mean the current line. And so what you've noticed there is, even when I scroll up or down, it's like a typewriter. So the piece of paper kind of scrolls up and down depending on where I am, and my current line always stays in the middle. So this is kind of what a typewriter would do. And this is something you can switch on and off. So it's something that you can enable and disable. And I enable it for writing because I really like the fact that I can see a little bit of what I've written and a little bit of the empty page, or when I'm making corrections in the middle, then I can see where I'm coming from and where I'm going. So it's kind of that's helpful, because this happens as soon as you hit a key. So if I insert my cursor here and insert a sentence, then you can see that no matter where my page is, the second I start typing a character, any character, the page kind of moves, into the middle of the screen. And that's what that is. It's called typewriter scrolling, and it's you can enable and disable it over here. So edit, disable typewriter scrolling. It's even got his own shortcut key. I never know what this caret symbol means, so it's one of those things. So disable typewriter scrolling means if I move that page and I type here, then this isn't happening. So it's something to keep in mind. So I like it being switched on when I type lots of text, but I like to switch it off when I'm making corrections, because at that point it drives me crazy when I'm kind of at in the middle here and I'm making a correction here. The moment I type a character, the whole page moves, and that I can't really have that with correction. So that's why you can switch it on and off. So that's very exciting. One other thing I wanted to show you is also about the writing process. I have my Storyist set up that I can insert as many empty lines as I like, but that's not the default behavior. I believe you can move the cursor with the return key to the next line, but I believe if you do it, then a little context menu comes up that lets you insert the next style, and you can enable and disable that under Storyist, Preferences. Under text editing, you can see the enable return key shortcut. So if you enable that and then close this window down, and the moment I get to the bottom of my document and I hit return, then this menu comes up, and that allows me to insert another style. So perhaps I want to have another section. So if I click that, then the cursor is parked here. All I need to do then is insert my section separator, hit return, and start a new section of text right here. And then of course, if I hit return once, then I just go to the beginning of the line to start a new paragraph. But if I do that again, then I get back into this, and then from here I could insert another style. So for example, a subheading or a chapter title, depending what I like. But this doesn't allow you to insert empty lines. So if you're somebody who needs empty lines every once in a while, then you can switch that functionality off. Under Storyist, Preferences, under the text editing preferences, this is enable return key shortcuts. We have something similar here. I usually leave that on when I write. This is enable tab key shortcuts. So this enables all those little things here, which you can also define your own if you like, and it also enables this thing that the tab key now turns into. Oops, where's my cursor gone? There we go. This also enables the fact that if I hit tab, it will now move the cursor to the next section separator thing. So what it really does is, if I have a look at the format inspector and I scroll all the way to the top here, it basically alternates between these two. So if I hit tab, then look what happens to the text. So it basically alternates between the section separator and the section text. So right now I type section text. If I hit tab, then it goes to the section separator, which allows me to quickly create a new section while I'm typing. So I find that very helpful. But if you switch that functionality off, again, you can do that on the Storyist, Preferences, and then disable the tab key shortcuts, then you won't have access to the snippet functionality, which means, typing text followed by tab. You can now use the tab key like a typewriter would use the tab key, and it would acknowledge the indentations that you've set up there. So those are two things that, just to keep in mind. I usually leave that one on because I don't use tabs, but my writing style may be very different to your writing style. And then of course there's the return key shortcuts, which I also don't really like while I type, because I do frequently work with empty lines. That's all I can tell you about the shortcuts that I use in Storyist, and they all make my writing life a lot easier. There are, of course, many other shortcuts, and it depends on if you're a shortcut nut or not. I am more like I like shortcuts on the keyboard to a certain extent, but for other actions I do like the menu, so I like a combination there. It depends on how my brain works on a given day. It's kind of, it's hard to explain. So some of these things you can always explore by just hovering over the menus, and then you see the shortcuts on the right hand side here for anything that you may want to use. But there's a full list of shortcuts that comes with Storyist actually. If you head over to the help section, then you see Storyist help over here, and if you select that, then it comes up with this little window here, which gives you the link to the website, of course, and the Storyist users guide, and it also gives you a list of keyboard shortcuts here. So if you click that, then you have a massive list of what Storyist can do on your Mac. And I believe most of these will also work for iOS. But then, of course, there's also the Storyist website and the online user guide, which will tell you a lot more about that. And if you do have a question, there's always the forum that you can look at and ask somebody who's more than happy to help you there. I hope you enjoyed this series. If you did, then please share it with friends, family, and total strangers. Do have a look at Storyist, give it a go. Maybe it will transform your writing life just as it has transformed my own. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Support me on Patreon if you like further series like this. I'd be very happy to have you on board. Other than that, have a nice day and good luck writing. Perhaps I'll see you next time at NaNoWriMo. Take care. Bye bye.